Howdy, Talim here. Today I'm going to be discussing fan service and its role in anime. So, before I start these discussion videos, I usually like some kind of catalyst, something that's kind of inspired me to discuss this topic. And last Wednesday at my Anime Society screening, I came across the catalyst for this topic, and that is an anime called High School DxD. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen this anime. You can post your comments whatever you want below if you have seen the anime, but suffice to say I hated it. Now, why did I hate it? Well, for one, it was, bland and uninteresting, but the other is that it was completely and utterly off the wall with its fan service, to the point where it was almost hentai in subject. Basically, you have exposed boobs, jiggling about everywhere. You have, constant shots of their panties and bottom. It's completely ridiculous. And it kind of made me start thinking about the role that fan service is supposed to serve in anime. Now, the first thing that I thought of when I was, just trying to think of what to discuss in this video was the fact that fan service started out as something to supplement shows. And actually, this might surprise a lot of you, but fan service didn't necessarily start out as sexual in nature. For example, Gundam, for instance, is a show that has a lot of fan service, but it's not exposed, panties or exposed boobies or anything. What it is long shots of the robots, like it might go up the Gundam and kind of letting the viewers kind of see every inch of, its construction, the way it's been put together, etc, etc. As well as like extreme close-ups that might show all the components that make up a Gundam's eyes and everything. So that was how fan service kind of started out, but now, these days, you say fan service to any anime fan, and they're immediately going to think exposed boobs, exposed panties, etc, etc. And I think that's a shame, but even more than that, I think it's a shame as to how reliant a lot of shows have become on fan service. Another show that I would say used a lot of fan service to an unnecessary extent was a show that I've reviewed recently and disapproved of, and it was called Shikabane Hime. Shikabane Hime, now, it didn't actually have that much fan service in its first half, I'll confess. Second half, though, there was a lot of scenes where basically you saw, the Shikabane Hime, these, dead princess warriors, bathing in the bathtub, and the guys, one of the, a pervy guy, kind of just going in close trying to look at their exposed body, etc, etc. And it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be, something amusing, and it's supposed to serve the fans. But it was tasteless, unnecessary, which I found very disappointing. Now, that's not to say that I reject fan service. I can think of two things which I thought, were very skillfully done fan service. The first one that I want to discuss. Now, to say that this is skillfully done, a lot of people might say, hey, you criticized Shikabane Hime, you criticized, High School DxD, but you're going to be saying right now, in just a second, that High School of the Dead was skillfully done fan service? Yeah, I think it was skillfully done fan service. Do you know why? Because the fact that the fan service actually had it supplemented the show. For instance, I want to point out the fact that, okay, first of all, most obvious fan service moment, Matrix boobs. In High School of the Dead, in the anime, there is a scene where the lead character is, shooting a rifle. You have the, complete awesomeness that is, God, I can't even remember her name, the purple-haired one anyway, she's slicing zombies up and all that. And at one point, the bullet is fired from the rifle, we track the bullet, and we see that her boobs kind of just go flopping back and forth, and the bullet kind of goes in between them as the boobs go in and out. So when it gets to the middle, the boob is kind of here, and then it moves here. Completely ridiculous, completely off the wall, but completely hilarious and completely cool. So I think that was one that it supplemented. That, and the fact that it was also used for a lot of other great comedic purposes. I remember especially fondly that time when the nurse is, she's still kind of drowsy, and she has to set everything up, and she's walking around naked. She doesn't even realize she's naked, and the fat otaku guy, he turns around, sees her, and the blood just starts spurting out of his nose. I thought that was hilarious. So that's a show in which I think fan service had a point to it. I thought it was skillfully implemented. Now, another show that I'd like to point out that used fan service, now to a much lesser extent than the other ones that I'm discussing, is Naruto. Now, you might be wondering, oh, you know, what fan service am I going to bring up? And I'm not sure how many of you have seen episode 3 of the Naruto anime, or read chapter 3 of the Naruto manga. But in that, there was a scene in which, you know, Naruto is staring intently at Sasuke's face, very close up. A guy in front of him bumps Naruto back a bit. He turns around to apologize, and Naruto is kissing Sasuke, which I find completely hilarious. I find it, you know, that is an iconic moment. A lot of people bring it up going, oh, Naruto's gay, you know, and all that. You know, no, I don't think that. It was just a funny moment. Plus, girls go mad for that. I think that's, you know, a great kind of thing to do for a balance, kind of, that, you know, girls get their own share of fan service, and they love the kind of, you know, yaoi, shonenai, etc. moments in Naruto or on other shows. Now, those aren't all the only shows, you know, that have fan service in it. I can think of several moments from Soul Eater. I can think of several moments from Code Geass. I remember in Code Geass there's this bit where, what was her name? Oh, I just remember the red-haired one. She's in the shower and Lelouch is outside and he just briefly sees her. It's hilarious. I think that's skillfully implemented. But it's kind of made me think that the best ways that fan service is implemented in shows is when it's in supplement to something else. I mean, for instance, as I said before, in High School of the Dead, you know, the implementation of those fan service moments were either action scenes or they were, you know, comedic scenes. And then in Code Geass, it was like a part of this kind of, you know, tense moment where Lelouch has the, you know, is trying to kind of remove suspicion from her mind. And Naruto, it was just, that was done kind of to just show kind of the love triangle kind of moment. That whole episode and a chapter, whichever one you want to go with, manga or anime, is kind of setting up the whole love triangle thing. Where it's completely unnecessary is, as I said before, Shikabane Hime and High School DxD, where they're done simply for the sake of it. So it's really made me think about this, you know, the role of that fan service plays, and it also kind of makes me wish that fan service would also kind of broaden its horizons. You know, like I'm doing a rewatch of Gundam Seed. I've mentioned that before, and once I've finished Gundam Seed, I do intend to, you know, do a kind of re-review of it because of the fact that my opinions have changed significantly over the course of this watching. But there are several, like if you actually watch the opening to Gundam, there's a bit near the end where the Gundam is going right at the screen and you can see every single detail of the eye. And I think that's a cool little scene. If you pause, you can make out all the little components that make up the eye. I think that's cool. I actually really like that kind of fan service. It's not in your face, it's subtle, but it's there. So that's my opinion on fan service. I kind of just wanted to point it out because, you know, it just got me thinking, the High School DxD. And even if something's completely blatant, like in High School of the Dead, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's badly implemented. So I just wanted to point it out. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.